Welcome back, everyone. We're joined once again by investment consultant with Guidance Point Advisors, Ben Smith. Ben, thank you so much for joining us again.
Peter, great to be here.
Yeah. All right, and so we had you in a couple of weeks ago. We kind of went over some investing 101 for people who are trying to start that early retirement planning process. And we're going to kind of continue with that theme today. So let's start off talking about the importance of staying invested and trying to time out the market.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they kind of sense something might be happening that might be bad, and they get a little scared. So they're saying, hey, what if I avoid something bad happening? Isn't that a smart strategy? And one of the things that we found is a study by JP Morgan and their guide to the markets. They actually did a study that said from January 1st of 2004 through December of last year, of 23, if you had stayed invested and you had $10,000, you would have earned 9.7% per year, or that $10,000 would have turned into more than $63,000. If you missed the best 30 days of the market, your return would have gone down to 0.7% per year, and that $10,000 would only have made $1,400. So 30 days generated all the return for 20 years. And by the way, those 7 of the 10 best days came within 2 weeks of the worst days. So being in the entire time, doesn't matter how scary, is part of it.
All right, so when things are looking grim, it might actually be a sign of better things to come.
Exactly. Probably the time you wanna stick to that plan as you go through.
Yeah, and let's talk about where people should be investing their funds.
Yeah, so one thing to think about is, especially if I'm younger in my career, I know we talked about that last time, consider a Roth IRA, where you can essentially pay taxes, put money into a retirement account, and then that money would grow tax-free for the rest of your life, and then you could take it out in retirement. Thing about Roth IRAs, the initial money you put in, if it stays there for 5 years, you can take that money back out and use for other things. Earnings has to stay in there for retirement, though.
Got it. And so is that the big difference when it comes to a Roth IRA versus, say, a 401k?
Yeah, the 401k or pre-tax money, and all that money that you put in has to stay in there until 59 and a half. So I have no kind of ability to take that back without penalties from the IRS.
Right, and so maybe a good idea for people to contribute to both,
if
they can.
Yeah, because I think what we don't know is we don't know our tax rate's going to be over time, right? We could be higher, could be lower. So if I have both a Roth that I've paid taxes on and a pre-tax where I haven't, I can kind of choose in retirement which might make sense for me at any given point.
That's great. And so none of us really know, especially early on in our careers, exactly how much money we're going to be making later in life. But if you have a rough idea, you can kind of plan for the amount of money you should be saving for retirement. So how can people know if they're on track for retirement?
Yeah, one thing we tell people is, hey, if we can shoot for 10 to 15% of our pay, that's a really great benchmark. But as financial planners, we have a whole profession that we do this, right? So there's a few things to know is, obviously, if based on household income, if I'm making something like $50,000 household income, well, in retirement, Social Security is going to be more of that $50,000 when I retire. So I need less savings. The more my household income is, the more the money is going to be. So using $50,000 household income as a measure, I need about $20,000 saved by age 30 to replace all my income in retirement. $60,000 by age 40, and ultimately $220,000 by age 65. So that's kind of the growth part. And then if you have larger household income, we gotta save more to replace that.
Gotcha. And I know that throughout this conversation, you did mention the JP Morgan market guide. Would you recommend that as a good resource for people?
Yeah. So what's really great about it. You can find it. It's available on JP Morgan's website. Anybody can look it up. Doesn't have to just be a financial advisor. Lots of great charts that are available to you, updated every quarter. So things like this that we're finding, great data points instead of just the anecdotal, I think this is the way it works. Good data points to go there.
All right, and real quick, if people want to dive more in depth and get in touch with you at Guidance Point Advisors, how can they do so?
Yeah, guidancepointllc.com is our website. And also you can kind of look at our podcast, Retirement Success in Maine podcast.
Great, all right. And they can check that out on Apple, Spotify, anywhere they get their podcasts?
Exactly, that's right.
All right, thanks so much, Ben Smith with Guidance Point Advisors, and your full forecast is coming up. Stay with us.